born from the ashes of his mother. Semele, while pregnant with Dionysus, was incinerated by the thunderous true form of Zeus, the king of Olympus. She instantly burst into flames, but from the ashes Zeus saves the infant, sewing him into his huge muscular thigh for safekeeping. There the baby remained until he reached maturity and begins a new journey into the life of divinity. Now, have you ever felt the urge to lose control or give into passion and leave reason behind? Well, in ancient Greek mythology, no god embodied the wild abandon of ecstasy and drunkenness more than Dionysus. His cult rituals brought mystic visions, frenzied dancing, and irrationality. But why was this seemingly minor god so deeply woven into Greek culture and imagination? Well, the god Dionysus represents mankind's timeless desire to temporarily cast off the shackles of reason and order. They would embrace the chaotic and transcend reality. But his myths remain as influential today as in antiquity. Welcome to the History Realm. Feel free to hit the like button to support our channel. In the old mythical times of Greece, Zeus was the mighty king of the gods. He was married to his sister Hera, the goddess of marriage and family. But Zeus fell deeply in love with the beautiful mortal woman Semele. Swept up by passion, he had a secret love affair with her, even though his wife Hera would be very angry. Semele soon became pregnant with Zeus's child, the baby who would become the god Dionysus. When Hera found out that her husband Zeus had cheated on her and gotten Semele pregnant, she was burned up by jealousy. Hera, as goddess of marriage, felt betrayed and wanted revenge against this mere mortal who dare seduce her divine husband. The angry goddess swore to make both Semele and her illegitimate child suffer for what they had done. But nobody yet realized that Semele's baby would grow up to be the wild and popular god Dionysus. He would gain many worshippers by spreading celebrations filled with wine, dancing, and losing control across the land. However, before Dionysus could begin his wild celebrations, his mother Semele would suffer a terrible fate at the hands of jealous Hera. Consumed by envy and rage, Hera plotted revenge on Zeus's lover, Semele. She disguised herself and approached the pregnant mother, planting seeds of doubt about Zeus's sincerity. Hera convinced Semele that to prove his true godhood and love, Zeus must reveal himself to her in his full divine form. The naive Semele demanded Zeus show his true self to earn her trust. Zeus was bound by oath to comply. He desperately tried to dissuade her, but Semele insisted. Unable to refuse, Zeus revealed himself as the mighty god of thunder and lightning. But no mortal could gaze upon Zeus's unrestrained power and live. The home was immediately engulfed in blinding lightning strikes, reducing Semele to ashes. Yet Zeus plucked the fetal Dionysus from the flames. Taking pity on his unborn son, Zeus sewed Dionysus into his own thigh to incubate the remainder of his development. Fortunately, Zeus was able to rescue the unborn Dionysus and nurse him to full godhood. This has to be in the top 5 worst ways to be born in Greek mythology. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. Anyways, in the months that passed, with Dionysus growing safely incubated within his thigh, Zeus felt the baby's strong kicks and movements. When the time finally came, Zeus extracted his son from his thigh. Dionysus emerged as a perfectly formed baby god, his divine destiny now beginning. Zeus assembled the gods of Olympus and presented young Dionysus with great pride. As Dionysus grew, few could match his handsome features, charm, and vibrancy. The baby fat melted away and Dionysus matured into a slender youth surrounded by dancing nymphs and amusing satyrs. His imaginative jokes and laughter enthralled both gods and mortals alike. But underneath it all, Dionysus concealed his true power, an unbridled mastery of ecstasy, theater, and wine. He basically was the life of the party. As he came of age, Dionysus set out on his own to discover the world and spread his influence among humankind. Legends of raucous festivities trailed in his wake. As a young god, Dionysus eagerly embarked on travels to spread his worship. Dionysus descended from Mount Olympus and explored the mortal realms. Everywhere the spirited young god journeyed, the seeds of his cult worship took root and blossomed. In remote lands never before reached by the Olympians, Dionysus spread the secrets of viticulture and winemaking. His gift of rich red wine flowed freely, dispersing wisdom, cutting inhibitions. People everywhere reveled and partied deep into the nights, dancing with wild abandon by the glow of torchlight. The satyrs and maenads who followed Dionysus led fertility rituals and colorful parades, playing melodies on pan flutes and drums. None could resist joining the Bacchanalian celebrations. As Dionysus's influence grew, so did the scope of his powers. Sounds like a great time. I wonder if they ever had to deal with a hangover. Anyways, the fates had more in store for this god of two natures, both pleasurable and wrathful. Not all would welcome his gifts with open arms, for those who defied him would face his terrible wrath. When Dionysus brought his revelries to Thrace, the uncompromising King Lycurgus became offended by the hedonism. He despised Dionysus as a mere youth, misleading his people with the temptations of wine and debauchery. Lycurgus captured Dionysus's followers and attacked them violently. Furious at this affront, Dionysus confronted the defiant king and summoned his full divine powers. Dionysus inflicted a twisted madness upon Lycurgus as punishment for his grave offense. The maniacal king began hacking down all the vines in his kingdom, believing them to be Dionysus's people. In his demented state, when Lycurgus came upon his own son, he mistook him for a plant and viciously put him to death. Horrified by his crime, King Lycurgus regained his senses, only to be consumed by grief and revulsion at his own hands. Dionysus's wrath was now complete. The king was left utterly devastated both physically and mentally for his hubris against a god. I imagine the king won't be getting flowers for the funeral. Later, another defiant king would also face Dionysus's fury. King Pentheus of Thebes also rejected Dionysus, refusing to acknowledge his divinity or allow the depraved rituals being performed for him in the forests nearby. Dionysus cleverly preyed upon Pentheus's curiosity, luring the skeptical king to secretly witness the wild ecstasies of the Maenads firsthand from a hiding place. Among the crazed female worshippers was Pentheus's own mother, Agave. Under Dionysus's spell, the Maenads worked themselves into a frenzy, hunting down men to tear limb from limb in sacrifice. When the women discovered Pentheus watching, they descended upon him in savage fury, ripping his body apart with their bare hands. At the head of this was Agave, who proudly paraded her son's severed head as a trophy, no longer recognizing him in her Bacchic delirium. When she finally regained her senses, Agave was utterly horrified to see she had murdered her own son in the madness inflicted by Dionysus. Well, curiosity killed the cat. The king paid a hefty price for spying on them. Despite the horrors he could bring, Dionysus's cult worship continued to grow. Though a wrathful god to those who opposed him, Dionysus triumphed and gained status in the Greek pantheon for the joy and abandon his worship brought. The Greeks recognized Dionysus as the patron god of the theater, able to evoke the full range of human emotion from ecstatic highs to dreadful anguish. His mythic stories have provided inspiration spanning centuries, seen in artwork, dramas, and literature. Even now, the spirit of Dionysus is celebrated across cultures today in festivals, parades, and jubilation, from the Rio Carnival to Mardi Gras. Man still thirsts for his divine wine. In mythic times past, the young god Dionysus emerged as an unlikely champion. Born from seed forbidden by the gods, Dionysus grew to be worshipped far and wide. His gift of wine became a social anchor around which humankind could come together, bonding in both merriment and madness. But the two-sided god also harbored wrath, inflicting brutal suffering on the prideful who dared cross him. Well, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in to this fascinating journey through the myths of Dionysus. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more future stories. I've also linked another great video here above for you to enjoy and keep the stories going. Until next time, on the History Realm.